In 2020, Russian authorities officially closed the file on a mystery that had remained open for 60 years. The final government report reached a definitive conclusion. The hikers were killed by an avalanche. That ruling attempts to settle what happened on the night of February 1st, when 9 people abandoned their camp and ran into a 30-below-zero wilderness without their shoes. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old student who was accompanied by 8 other hikers. Every member of the team was a certified high-level trekker, equipped with extensive experience in long-distance winter expeditions. Their destination was Otorten, a remote peak in the northern Urals. To reach it, they had to navigate hundreds of miles of frozen, uninhabited terrain. These hikers had spent years mastering the protocols of mountain survival. Their training makes the specific details of their final night even more difficult to reconcile with the environment. When search teams located the camp, they found the group's tent still standing on the slope. It was partially covered in snow, but the support poles were still in place and the structure was intact. Inside, the searchers found the group's winter boots, their heavy coats, and their food supplies. Everything they needed to survive the night had been left behind. This schematic of the tent reveals a series of long slashes through the canvas. Forensic analysis of the fabric showed that the knife blade pushed outward from the interior of the tent. The hikers had bypassed the entrance entirely. They cut their way through the walls and moved down the slope into the darkness, barefoot or wearing only socks. Slashing through a tent and abandoning boots contradicts the most basic survival instincts of a trained trekker. It suggests a moment of sudden extreme urgency that outweighed the risk of freezing to death. Rescuers followed a trail of 8 or 9 sets of footprints. The tracks led nearly a mile down the mountain toward a large cedar tree at the edge of the forest. Beneath that tree, they discovered the first 2 bodies. Both were dressed only in underwear and socks. The tips of their fingers and palms were severely burned. They had managed to light a small fire using branches stripped from the tree, though the heat was not enough to save them. Looking at this slope, we see the distance between the tree and the camp. Between them, searchers found 3 more bodies. Found in a line, heads facing up the mountain, their positions indicated a desperate crawl back toward the campsite. They had escaped the tent in a state of panic, yet once they reached the tree line, they turned around and spent their final strength trying to return to it. The final 4 hikers were not found until the spring thaw, months later. They were discovered buried under several feet of snow in a ravine further into the woods. These bodies showed signs of massive internal damage. Autopsies revealed fractured skulls and ribs that had been crushed by an immense amount of pressure. Despite the severity of the broken bones, the skin remained intact. There were no bruises, no external lacerations, and no visible signs of a physical struggle or impact. Lyudmila Dubinina was found with extensive soft tissue damage. She was missing her eyes, part of her lips, and her tongue. When investigators tested the clothing from this final group, they found that several items carried measurable traces of radioactive contamination. The combination of internal crushing without external marks, localized radiation, and the missing tissue created a set of findings that the official avalanche theory struggled to fully reconcile. These findings led to decades of speculation regarding secret Soviet military testing or high-altitude weapon trials that may have occurred in the Ural Mountains during the height of the Cold War. While the 2020 report sought a natural explanation for the tragedy, the original investigator in 1959 offered a far less specific conclusion. He closed his report by stating that the hikers had been killed by an unknown compelling force. A government report can provide a sense of closure for the public, but the physical evidence left on that slope remains, forcing us to ask what could be powerful enough to make 9 experts choose the freezing dark over the safety of their tent.